Hello, everyone. Welcome to Make It Known with Mal. I'm your host, Mal, and today I am doing a very special episode for this new series that I'm starting. It's called The Four Quadrants. So I'm going to talk to someone with the four different political ideologies, and today I'm talking to someone who self-identifies as moderate, liberal, and she's in the quadrant. And we're going to just talk a little bit about that. And like I have said for all of the other ones, I'm asking the same questions to everyone. There might be one or two questions that differ because the person might say something that I might want them to expand on. But for the most part, all of the questions are going to be the same. And at the end, you can decide where you stand so you know who to vote for in November or whenever your primaries are. Each state has primaries, and you should find out when your primary is for the state that you are in, but you'll be able to be a little bit more knowledgeable when it's time to vote. Okay, so without further ado, here's my friend Sierra. Sierra, can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Hi. Well, first off, thank you for having me. So I'm a recent college graduate with a bachelor's degree in political science. I've always had a love and passion for politics and wanting to help others and be a voice for others, especially people in my demographic, which led me to go into pageantry because I'm a huge advocate for women's rights and uplifting women and making sure that all voices are heard, but especially theirs.
Love it. And love that you do pageantry. That also just a side note, I feel like that also shows that like it's not just ditzy people, because I think that's kind of like the stereotype, because you're incredibly smart and you also do that. Okay, so
I'm also trying to get into law school at the moment too. I'm in the process of applying, so just also pageant girls are also lawyers.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Okay, so here we go. Here now begins all of the questions. So the first question is just explain your political ideology.
Yeah, so I would say I categorize myself as a moderate Democrat. I believe that the Democratic views fall under a larger umbrella. And for me, being a woman of color, I feel that the party is way more inclusive and united. And it's, when it comes to like social issues, I feel more a part of the conversation and like I'm acknowledged in this party and like my voice matters and my opinion matters. So that's pretty much why I identify with the Democratic Party, just like on the surface level of it. And I'll go into why deeper, but on the surface level, yeah, that's pretty much why I identify as a Democrat, a moderate Democrat.
Okay, and then so how did you arrive to that? Was it just like your research, or explain that process?
That's a good question. I think, well, okay, I grew up in a pretty, like, Democratic family, so just, growing up and being around those type of views and ideology, of course, it would kind of, manifest me into also believing in that. But then I also say I like heavily emphasize on the moderate part because I'm not afraid to change my opinion, especially when I find out new information about a topic or an issue. And I think that people are too open-minded to be placed in one box, So, yeah, it just kind of happened over the course of life, just kind of figuring out who I am and what I believe in and just kind of seeing things for what they are. And, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think that's a lot of people's stories. They kind of grew up that way, and then you get to college and it kind of expands your mind, I guess. Okay, so why do you think that moderate Democrat, why do you think that is what's best for America?
Well, I hate to sit here and say what's best for America.
Or do you think it's best for America? Like, is that something that you think would put us in the right direction, maybe, I guess is the right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like I said earlier, like, I just think that we're just so open-minded nowadays, to be placed in one box. So And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of people become independents, you know, and not really identify with the party right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or just over time in general, because, like you mentioned, like, our views are expanding and changing with everything going on. But, yeah, I think that it's best, if you will, for America, just because, I mean, for me personally, like, Democratic views, we are big on social equality, environmental protection, voting rights, affordable health care. Like, the list goes on. And for me personally, like, how I view it and how my life has been so far, how I've seen it is the Democratic Party is just more a party of wanting to, like, genuinely, like, help others and help people, and not so much into, like, the, you know, corporations of it and the money aspects of it. I think that the Democratic Party is definitely a party for the people.
Okay. Next question is, now, how do we get people to vote, specifically millennials, Gen Z? Like, how do we get people our age and younger, especially because we're about to start, like, it's going to be some people's first year voting. How do we get them involved, or how do we get them to do it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, honestly, continuing to have a lot of different, like, community outreach type programs will, like, take place where, you know, there are conversations and discussions about voting and voting rights and why it's important, because I like to give younger people the benefit of the doubt, because I know there's, like, a stigma with young people and not voting and not caring, but I think that's far from the truth, you know. I think that a lot of young people are very, very proactive, and they really care about politics, and they are, you know, really just getting involved with it, in my opinion. So I think with how things are now, definitely utilizing the resources that we have, such as social media and technology, using that to our advantage to, you know, reach out to people who might be on the fence of, you know, voting or just being active in politics. And that was actually my platform when I did my most recent pageant. It was to...
Oh, nice.
It was to not only... get women to run for office, but literally just anybody, and specifically young people too. I wanted them to be more active in the political field. Not saying that they're not, but I think that, you know, right now it's very, very important for us to, you know, be active or just stay active and not let this slip away from us, because I feel like we're in crucial times right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, just continuing to host programs and reach out to people. Like, wasn't there, like, a couch party the other day with, like, Michelle Obama? I know one of my friends, she invited me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, just, like I said, using our technology and social media, I definitely think that, you know, we will, just, you know, we'll get to where we need to be. For sure.
Yeah. And definitely, like, the last election, we saw how beneficial social media was, and we saw how beneficial, like, memes and little jokes were. And I'm just thinking and, like, laughing in my head about some of the stuff that was going around social media last time. Okay, so then you kind of sort of answered it, but maybe expand a little bit on why should anyone care about politics? Like, why do politics matter? Because there's a lot of people, I mean, I guess, so I say a lot of people because that's what it seems like on, like, social media, but you did make a good point. It does feel like our generation is more involved, but then at the same time, I'm trying to think, is it because we're both, like, in politics? So, like, we only really see political people, but, like, everywhere else, it seems like they're not involved.
Yeah.
But anyway, why should people care? Because there's some people who are like, it's all rigged, or I don't really want to vote because it just doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. What would you tell those people?
I would tell them, look, I mean, representation matters. You know, like, you want somebody that had no idea what your struggles and issues are voting and making laws for you that have nothing to do with you and how you were raised and the way you see the world. Like, you want to put people in office that have the same values and beliefs as you. You know, I feel like if you're not going to vote, then you can't complain.
Amen to that.
Period. But yeah, I just I would just tell them it matters, because I hate to break it to you, but politics is our life. It controls a lot of our life. You know, how much we pay in taxes, how much things cost, our health care, technology, you know, gas prices, I mean, everything. So it's like, you have to understand that this is important, because it's pivotal to your life, you know, and I would just say that to them,
Yeah, that's good. And that's so true about it being very important to our life. I think people don't realize it, especially, and I've said this on like 4 other podcast episodes, but especially your local politics, your local government is so important. Okay, so the next question is, how do we get to our best selves as a country? What I mean by that is, like, you know, I think no matter what side of the political aisle, no matter what quadrant you're in, you can admit that, like, we have some work to do. What do you think what are some things that you think we could do, or, like, how do we get there?
Okay, I think that a lot of people, especially politicians, like, they're putting party over country and party over their people. And I think that is very toxic and just one of the worst things, you know, that we can do as a country. And I feel like that's been happening a lot lately. And I honestly miss, like, how it was when people voted for how other people, you know, felt about an issue, not because they were being told by higher up people in their party, you know, hey, vote for this or else, or vote for this because X, Y, and Z. Like, no, like, you have people that believe a certain thing, you know, and they're part of your party. Like, listen to them. You know, I think that a lot of people, especially politicians, they just get so caught up in the political messiness of it, if you will, and I hate that, because I think that a lot of people, they start to feel left out, you know, and then that's when people start to not care about politics, voting, because they think, well, I mean, it's not going to matter anyway, or blah, 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 like, and that's not the case, it's not true, but I definitely do hold politicians accountable, and that they need to really be listening to their constituents more than, you know, the people on Capitol Hill and, you know, the other politicians. Like, listen to your constituents, listen to the people who voted you in. I think that once we start doing that more, we will see a change. There will be a whole lot more progress. What else could we do?
And I do want to say to what you said really quick, they work for us, so they should be, whatever your constituents are saying, that's kind of what you should be voting for. Like, politicians are, like, our employees. Like, we tell them what to do.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that, as cliche as it sounds, like, put your pride to the side for a second, you know, and really hear us out, you know, start doing more town halls, you know, I mean, and you can do those over the phone now. I've already done, or, like, been on, like, 3 with different local politicians, you know. You can
love that.
you can do, like, telehalls, I think is what it's called. But yeah, like, you can just, like, listen to them talk, and then you can kind of voice your opinion back, or things like that. So yeah, I think that would honestly be the key to helping us, America, just kind of get back to a more stable place, because I feel like right now we're in a very tense situation, like, not even with the pandemic going on, but just anyway with the current administration. A lot of people, I think, are on edge, and I feel like people have become so much more aggressive and just not their best selves anyway. So I think that hopefully in a few months or so, like things will just kind of settle down and we can start to put our pride to the side, stop playing with people's lives, and just thinking about the money, but really listening to your constituents, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And about people being on edge for sure. I think everyone I keep saying both sides. I want to say all four quadrants because I'm also, for those listening, I'm also going to speak to someone who self-identifies as a socialist. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, I think no matter what quadrant you belong to, there's people who are kind of nervous or are, like you said, on edge about what's going on in America. Because one thing I will say is that we all want the same things. We just have a different way of going about it. Now, there are evil people, but, for the most part, everybody wants the same things. It's just we have a different way that we think we should get the things that we want.
Yeah. We have different ways of addressing it, for sure.
Yes. Okay, so the next question is, what do you think is the best way? You kind of sort of talked about it, but expound a little bit more. What do you think is the best way to get involved for someone that has never really been involved in politics, but they really want to, now that they've heard these podcasts and they're like, oh my goodness, I really want to get involved. What's the best way?
As far as, just getting involved in politics or, running for office?
Well, if you can speak on both, that'd be cool.
Okay. Okay. I would say one of the simplest ways, I think, is just to start reaching out to your local legislators, start reaching out to them, kind of voicing your opinion, if you will. And I know you can also set up meetings. I mean, maybe not currently, but in the past, you could set up meetings with your local state rep or state senator, and just kind of have a chat with them or their legislative assistant. I used to actually intern for a state senator, so
nice.
I'm kind of so I kind of know how that works a little bit, but. Yeah, I would maybe start there. Also looking up various, because there's a lot of various, how should I word this? Just different organizations that are all about getting people involved in politics, especially young people. There's quite a few organizations that I've found and connected with, and I follow them on social media. And they, are always posting about ways that you can be active, things to do, so I would advise them to turn to, social media, call up their local legislators, talk to them, get some advice from them, and just kind of start from there.
Okay, great. And since you kind of said the running, do you have any tips or how to get involved with that? If someone's interested in running for office? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I want to ask that to someone else.
Oh, okay.
That's a good question, though, for me, as considering I'm not exactly in that place yet where I want to run, but I do know I plan on it in the future at some point. But for me, I think one of the greatest experiences that I've had was interning for legislators. I've interned before for a U.S. senator, and I've also interned and worked for a state senator. So getting that experience firsthand was so amazing. It was really eye-opening. And I would also take advantage of that moment for somebody that wants to run for office, look into internships for sure, go to various networking events, meet with people, talk to them, tell them what you want to do, and go from there. I think that's honestly the most important thing that you can do if you want to run for office, is to make those connections, whether by interning for somebody or going to different, networking events or conferences. So, I would do that for sure.
Okay. And I would echo everything. I would like to know, all of the, actual steps too, but the internships, I agree. I will echo you on that. The internships are probably the best way to just get your foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so last, like, official question, is who would you, like, or, sorry, who was your presidential pick? I don't know why I was saying it so weirdly. Who was your presidential pick?
So I am Team Biden. I will say I think that the times that we are in currently, Biden appeals to more people. I think that he reaches across both, Democrats and Republicans, especially moderates, and I think that, he can really unite us in a way where we're not going to have to deal with a lot of the things that we've been dealing with before in the past. I think that he's just a great man. I love his politics. He was vice president, for years. So he has the experience. So I'm excited.
Okay. So now we're going to go into our pro or against rapid fire session. And I'm just going to say a bunch of topics, and you can say pro, against, or pass. And then after that, you'll have your make it known statement, and then we'll be done. Okay, so here is the pro or against. First one, abortion.
Pass.
Okay. Legalization of marijuana.
Pro.
Free markets.
I don't know.
And I like that you said that, and you didn't just say whatever you thought you were supposed to say. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Gun rights.
I think everybody should have. Pro.
Okay. Are tax money or just money from the government going to investigating global warming?
Pro.
Capital punishment.
This is rapid fire, right? Long story short, I took a class on death penalty, and I'm still on the fence of it, especially due to me being a Christian. So I don't know.
I feel you on that.
It's situational, it's situational, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've actually, and this is aside, I've actually heard, like biblical, quote unquote, biblical explanations for like both sides. So that's the other thing that I'm like, wait, what? So yeah, that's a tough one. Raising the minimum wage. Israel's relationship with the U.S.
It's complicated. I'll just put it back. That's all I have to say. It's complicated. Yeah.
Okay. The Electoral College.
I have a weird feeling about that. So, I don't want to keep saying I don't know, but I'll just say, you know what? No. Fine. For now.
Okay. The elimination of student loans or student loan debt.
Pro.
Open borders.
No.
Universal health care.
Pro.
Okay, so the last two are fun. Carol Baskins.
They need to investigate her more. They're doing that, right? So,
Yeah, they are.
We'll see what happens with that.
Wait, so that means you're against Carol Baskins?
I mean, if she did what they're accusing her of, then yes. I mean, that's not cool. You don't feed your husband tigers if you did that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. I think that's a common thing we can all agree as Americans.
Yeah.
You don't feed your husband to tigers.
No.
And then the last one is puppies. Are you pro or against?
I love puppies.
Yay! That's good. That's good to hear. Hopefully, everybody else I interview says the same thing, so we can all at least find common ground on Carol Baskins and puppies.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much. The last thing is everybody that comes on has a make it known statement. So it's a statement. If you could tell the whole world one thing, what would it be? Ready, go.
I will just say a few things all in one. So number one, vote, please. And then two, right now with everything going on, I just want to give a huge shout out to all of our healthcare workers.
Yes.
And implore people, like, if you see a healthcare worker, thank them if you can, like, buy them a meal. Like, we're in really scary times right now. And not even just healthcare workers, but also essential workers, people that are working in grocery stores. Just please, like, let's just all be kind to one another right now. And I mean, just anyway in general, but especially in times like these, like, we really need to uplift each other in ways that we haven't done in a long time. So I would just say that to people, like, just be kind and vote.
Perfect. I agree with everything you just said there. Okay, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Also, everyone, thank you so much for listening. This is one of the 4 quadrants, a cool series that I'm doing. I really hope you enjoy it. You can leave comments or questions or anything. You can email makeitknownwithmal@gmail.com. So you will hear me next Monday. All right, everyone, bye. If Make It Known with Mal is truly providing you with valuable content, consider becoming a Patreon. You can become a Patreon for as low as $3 a month. This podcast isn't just for me, it's for us, all of us. Your contribution will help the podcast continue to improve and reach everyone that needs to hear this. Also, consider ordering some really cute merch. We have things from stickers to t-shirts, and they're all available at www.makeitknownwithmal.com. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to Make It Known with Mal. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. Make It Known with Mal is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Overcast, PocketCasts, RadioPublic, and iHeartRadio. So if this was a beneficial episode for you, wherever you're listening, make sure you subscribe, rate, review, and share with your friends. If you take a picture listening, make sure you tag Make It Known with Mal on Instagram, and I'll repost it. I'm currently accepting applications for sponsors. Also, if you're receiving value from this podcast, please consider becoming a Patreon for as low as $3 a month. Find out more on my website, www.makeitknownwithmal.com. You can also find merch and a list of all the freebies that are available. Thanks again for listening, and have a good rest of your day. Also, ask yourself, if the whole world was listening, what would you say? Don't forget to make it known.